Welcome back, bank fishing with BLV. Today we're getting straight to it. One rod, one reel, one lure. I'm going to show you 3 different retrieves that you must know to catch more bass, especially during the summer. A worm is just a good old classic that you just can't beat, and it catches fish all year long, and especially during the summertime, something about big worms, they just love them. Let's get to it. If you're not subscribed, subscribe right now. We drop in heat 365 days of the year. Let's get to it. We're at a pressure lake. Not sure we're really catching the bass today. Sun is high up. It's just about 12 o'clock here in Florida. You know how that goes. Get close to 100 degrees. But I'm going to show you one of my favorite baits to throw during the summertime. And today we're working with the 6 cents ridge worm. It's super long. I love long worms during the summer. Bass have a bigger appetite. Throwing a 5-aught hook. A jugular hook from 6 cents. It is a hybrid hook, and I use it for all of my worms for the most part. Just throwing a 1/4 ounce bullet weight, and we even have it pegged. One question a lot of anglers ask, to peg or to not peg, if you can see that on the end of my line. And the answer is you want to peg your weight if you're fishing structure and grass. If you're not fishing structure or grass, you don't want to peg your weight, or if you do have it pegged, you want it as far away from the lure as possible. As far as the gear, we're throwing a medium heavy rod. I want that medium heavy because I know there's a lot of grass around here. The backbone strength will help me jerk that rod up out of grass and through cover when I need to. When I feel thick clumps of grass, I can just pop my rod and I can easily get it through there. As far as rod selection, I always throw a medium heavy, anything between a 7 foot to 7'3". This happens to be a 7'6", my only 7'6" that I own, but actually I have been liking it. It gives me a lot more leverage and a lot more backbone to really be able to reach those fish from a distance. On those long casts, I don't lose hook setting power. But for the first retrieve, we just cast it on out, and all we're going to do is just shake it on the bottom or whatnot. Just kind of shake that worm in place. This is for your aggressive bass approach. When your bass are really biting good and they're chasing, and you have a worm tied on, you can really shake this thing a lot. It gives the tail so much more action. It just let it flutters all over the place. And it's a teasing tail with that long extra ribbon tail on the end. It just teases the bass and it sits in their facing. They look at it like it's an easy meal and it's a big worm, so it's a fulfilling meal. So really just shaking it. I might reel up the slack a little bit, shake it some more, retrieve that back in, cast back out. Get you a good long cast with the extra length on the rod. And you just literally just pretty much shake your rod. You can also do this on a spinning rod, but when I'm fishing a 1/4 ounce or bigger, I usually like to go with my bait caster. Something about a bait caster, I feel like I'm more accurate with my cast and I get more strength in my backbone as far as hook setting power. This right here is meant for active bass. All right, as far as the color on this worm, I like to keep it very, very simple. I usually like June bug or anything with a bit of purple for stained water, which is what we're dealing with today, which is most of Florida. And I'll throw like a green pumpkin or watermelon flake if the water is clear, but that is not today's case. So the second retrieve we're going to talk about, just going to cast that worm out there. Good old Texas red, just good old fashioned that you can't beat. All right, the first time we talked about kind of shaking it in place, reel up the slack, shaking it in place, really just giving that worm a ton of action, letting it just vibrate and flash, flicker, everything just all in the freaking bass's face. But the next retrieve, when the bass really aren't aggressive, when the bass are just finicky, they don't want to bite much of anything at all. This is the next retriever that you hit them with. You throw it out there, you count down, you let it sink to the bottom. I think it took about 4, maybe 5 seconds to fall. So with a 1/4 ounce weight, that is about 4 to 5 feet deep out there. So that's good to know as a bait. And what we're going to do, we're just going to drag that worm. You want to use the lightest weight that you can get away with. And so in that case, usually a 3/16 ounce is perfect. Or if you can get away with anything lighter, that is even better. And all we're going to do is just going to drag that lure. We're going to pause it for a few seconds, like 2 to 3 seconds. And when it's cold, maybe even pause it up to like 4 to 5 seconds when they're really slow. And then you just reel up the slack, and then you just drag some more. Usually you will feel the bite once you pause it. It's something about the pause on these retrieves. The bass will just smash it. It might hit it on slack line, so you have to be prepared to really turn that reel handle to catch up with. Today we have a Duckett Paradigm CRI 200X reel, wide spool, great castability, super fast gear ratio, 7.5 gear to 1. We're able to reel up that slack, we're able to just drag that lure, or to reel up that slack and set that hook when it's needed. And we're just dragging it slowly, just slowly and methodical. You're feeling what's on the bottom. You're feeling for humps, you're feeling for logs, you're feeling for any kind of structure, rocks, anything, grass. You want to put all of that into your head. You kind of getting a visual map as a bank fisherman. And you just slowly just drag it. You just drag it all the way to the bank. Simple retrieve, right? Might catch a little grass here and there, just a little bit, but it's worth it because sometimes the grass is sitting inside that grass. So you can find you a good grass patch. It is freaking over, I'm telling you. Cast out there one more time. It's a good long cast. Count down, 1, 2, 3. That time it only took 3 seconds to fall. I cast it to another area and let it sink. And now I'm just going to slowly just drag it. This is for when the bass do not want to bite. Thought I just felt something. I felt a piece of structure. That's good to know. Sorry I got you in GoPro mode. Man, camera starting to overheat. It is just super humid here in Florida. So let's go over the next cast. Going to fire on out there. Let that thing hit the bottom. And this retrieve right here, sometimes you just have to show them something different that the fish haven't seen. A lot of anglers might be pressuring your lake, so you might just need to hit them with something just a bit different. So with this retrieve, instead of just dragging the reel, instead of just dragging the rod, we're going to kind of sweep it. We're going to kind of sweep it up in the air. We're going to lift that worm out the bottom, drag it a few inches, and then let it flutter back down. That's why you want that lighter piece of weight, so it can flutter real nice and smooth in front of the bass. And it gives it kind of that finesse presentation. So I'm going to lift that rod, really drag it, really lift it out the bottom. Just sweep that worm. And it's coming up out the bottom, and then it's like fluttering right back down with that teaser tail. Sometimes you just want that teaser tail to be coming across the bass face, nice and slow. I'm telling you, sometimes they just react when they're not hungry. They just inhale that thing. Just going to sweep it. Real simple. Reel up the slack a little bit. Sweep your rod. Really get it up out the bottom. It's not like the dragging technique. The drag technique, you're literally just dragging sideways very slowly. But with the sweeping technique, you're literally hopping it up out the bottom. And I actually just hopped it through the grass and onto the bank. Going to fire that thing out there. And a lot of times when you get bit, you're going to get bit on the fall after you sweep that rod. And all you're going to do, just going to let it hit the bottom, sweep that rod. We're not just dragging it sideways, you're really sweeping this thing. Hope you can really get a good look at that on the camera. I do apologize. We're just going to sweep, let it go back to the bottom, wait 2 to 3 seconds, reel up the slack. Oh, I think I got a fish. I actually have a fish. Look at it. Oh, he came off. He came off. But just like that, we had a bite. We had a bite. That's it for today, boys and girls. We had one bite. Wasn't expecting to get that bite. Only came out here to show you guys a few different techniques that you should try with your worms in your local ponds and lakes. This pond, everyone in town knows it. Super pressured, Piney Z. Everyone in my area knows where that's at. Unfortunately, that's just all we have time for today. I hope I showed you something new, and I hope you're able to catch more bass from the bank using these techniques. And if you do, let me know in the comments. Tag me in social media. Follow me. Socials will be linked down below. Tag me in your posts and your photos, and I'll be more than happy to see them. And if you're not subscribed, remember, subscribe to the channel. We're hunting big bass all year long, 365 days of the year. And with that being said, peace. Love you guys. Stay safe.